Hello, welcome to Forwards from Iron. I'm Duke. Gatesy's off somewhere doing what he does. What I want you to do, guys, is exactly that there. Like, subscribe. I'm going the wrong way. Like, subscribe, and touch the bell. Touch the bell. We're all happy if the bell gets touched. And then you're notified whenever we put some new content up. I am going to be joined, and I'm hoping in the background someone's going to go click, because I ain't looking at nothing right now. Hey, by magic, look at it. We are joined by James. How are you,
Absolutely.
sir?
I'm loving your intros, by the way. You're sitting back, you've got it all figured out. You're asking your viewers to touch your bell. The only thing you were missing was a cigar. I mean, I love it.
Listen, I have nothing figured out with my life, with my YouTube. There is nothing figured out. I literally go and we just wing it. You know, listen, at the end of the day, if it works, it works. All right, let's not change the winning formula. And at the moment, within the West Ham YouTube community, me and Rob are known as the joke, really. There's nothing we take seriously. We have a bit of fun. We enjoy it. 9 times out of 10, we go live and just hope for the best. And, you know, I'd say 8 times out of 10 it works. There have been a couple. So, let everyone know, my friend, where you're from, what you do.
So we are a general football channel. Me and my co-host Scott, we are Wolves fans. The only Wolves content we do are the watch-alongs and the match reactions. But Monday to Friday, it's general fan content. And we did a video on West Ham. I think we titled it Lord Moisey about 2 weeks ago. So go and check that out. We don't really do much top 6 news. We don't do videos on the top 6 clubs because, one, I get bored of them, and 2, there's loads of channels out there doing that. So we focus on the other 14. I feel like the other 14 are a big team. We all root for each other. So that's how it should be.
I think you're right. I think, and obviously, me and Rob started this back in February, and we've had like yourself. We've had Chris from Leicester Till I Die. He's been on with us, and the general feeling that West Ham obviously doing so well this season, and what we did couple of last season as well, it seems the feel-good factor seems to be rubbing off on the other teams, and everyone does seem to be rooting for West Ham to keep this momentum. Obviously not when we played their teams, obviously quite clearly, but
yeah, not that
keep the momentum running.
But you know what? I'm with you. I think we had nothing but good vibes from Leicester fans. I mean, when we got promoted, we got back-to-back 7th in the league, got into Europe. I was rooting for Leicester in the FA Cup final. I was rooting for you to get Europe last season. And now, listen, I hope you win the tournament. It's good for England. I hope you win the Europa League. And I hope you beat United if they fall into it, let's say.
You know what? We were having this conversation, me and Rob, not so long ago, and there's the possibility that Barca could even drop down out of the Champions League because they're a bit ropey at the minute, and we both agree we fancy our chances against this Barcelona side. I've got to say, they're not great, are they? If
you're going to play Barca at any point in the last 50 years, you play them now, so do
it. Is it, isn't it? Right. Mr. Man in the background, I know you're there. Look, I tell you, he's amazing. He's brilliant behind the scenes. When you get him in front of the camera, he don't stop. But behind the scenes, he nails it. So obviously, we faced off yesterday, and as I said just before we came live, I have to say it was one of the worst performances I've seen from my club in a good couple of seasons now, and it was quite frustrating. But obviously, we're here to talk about your guys, and it's the outcome. So, your thoughts on your starting lineup, and obviously the formations and substitutions you made, because obviously they were key to what the outcome was in the end.
We're very similar to West Ham, where I think our first 11, if they're fully fit, it can compete with any team in the league on their day. It's when you look at the bench and sometimes you go, ooh, I don't know if there's many game changers there. I know a lot of your fans share that at the moment. The same for us. You can predict our lineup, even if you support Colchester United. You know who Wolves are going to play if they're fit. It's Cody, it's Kilman, it's Semedo, it's Neves, Matinho, Raul is fit now, Hwang, so on and so forth. The only thing I was questioning whether Bruno Lage would maybe play Dendoncker. similar build, similar kind of player to Rice and Souček, you know, well over 6'1", 6'2". Their job is to win the ball back in the midfield, try and make that transitional pass as quick as they can out to the more attacking players, whether it be, you know, for you, Fornells, Benrahma. For us, it's Hwang or Trincao or Jimenez kind of thing. The fact that he didn't go for Dendoncker, I mean, you know, this is why they get paid millions a year and we don't, because we end up beating one of the best teams in the league this season. So this is why I have a YouTube channel and he's the manager of Wolves. But Wolves fans can't really... You'll never see a Wolves fan really moan about a team lineup. Maybe one player who's got your favourites kind of thing, but we know the team lineup because we have no depth. So, and the substitutions, again, a bit like yourself. I've seen a few reactions from West Ham fans talking about when Yarmolenko comes on, and is it Klavic, if I'm pronouncing that right?
Vlasic.
Yeah. They're not really going to excite you with substitutions. And we're the same. I'm not a big fan of Adama. He's not really going to change the game. So we know what to expect.
Well, you say that. I mean, when you say the reactions you've seen, I was one of them. I was on our Forge Twitter page yesterday, and I did put something out there stating, yeah, Yarmolenko, that's going to change the game, and it's fantastic because he just doesn't. Pardon me. At West Ham, he just doesn't offer anything. You put him in a Ukrainian show, different story. But when he comes up for us, he just doesn't offer anything. And I know what you mean. I mean, I'm a big fan of Traore. I really am. I think
you can have him.
Watching that man get oiled up on the sidelines, I'm not quite sure what to understand on that.
Do you want him for football reasons, or?
Well, you know. I understand why they do it. Obviously, he's at pace and someone goes to grab him and he's like soap in the showers in prison kind of thing. He's gone. But like to see another grown man oiling up another grown man in front of 40,000 grown men and kids and women, you're like, not quite sure what's going on there. I have to say when I watched yours and Rob's the Recon show. And again, you very much said that you said about your starting 11 is pretty much fixed, same as ours. I mean, I was sitting in the car yesterday when the lineups were announced, and even before I looked at the screen, I said to my partner, "This is going to be the lineup." Before I even read it out to her, and I've got it, exactly right because. Like you guys, we know exactly what it's going to be, and that's.
Did you? I was just going to say, did you predict Diop over Dawson?
Yeah, I picked Dawson over Diop. I thought Dawson would start.
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong. I think we kind of looked at the fact that you were going to have Traore on the bench, which I think kind of. Not forced Moyes' hand, but kind of made that decision for him. Because if you were looking at the pace of the two, you're going to pick Diop. He is a lot quicker than Dawson, and I just think he might have been able to keep up. So the fact that you kept Adama on the bench meant that that kind of gave Moyes the decision for him, if you will. Moving on, he knows. So obviously. You guys, for the most part, I have to say, I found it quite painful to watch. You guys dominated, and when you broke at pace, we looked wanting at the back. You had so much space, especially wide. It hurt to watch. Obviously, as the banner says, what were your key moments in the match? Obviously, we know one of the main one, but what were the other key moments in the match for you?
I think your best chance, which came very early on, which was Bowen's header. I mean, you've got 5'7", 5'8" Jared Bowen leaping for a ball with 5'7", 5'8" João Moutinho. So it's hardly Rice and Cody. But if that header goes in, Wolves are awful. Especially, we were riddled with injuries last season, but we are so bad at coming back from losing positions. If we scrape a draw, we could be 1-0 down in the first minute. We're not winning that game. It's as simple as that. The fact that doesn't go in against a team that has so much confidence, West Ham, obviously, at this moment in time, that was big for us. I've seen a few replays. I don't think Jose Sarr is going to get there if it does sneak inside the near post. That was a big point. And then from there, I was so surprised the way that West Ham approached it. I was fearful for the midfield battle. I feel like both teams gave the ball away a lot in midfield, Neves and Moutinho included. What was so surprising was Rice not only giving the ball away with wayward passes, he was getting dispossessed himself. He was losing the ball in midfield, and we were just right on the edge of your box 3 or 4 seconds later. Another key moment is that one-on-one with Raul Jimenez. He scored a very similar goal against Everton when we beat them before we lost to Palace a couple of games ago. And he dinks Jordan Pickford, makes him look silly in a very similar position. Same goal, same angle of the goal as well, just off centre to the right. And I think it's one of them where he's got so much time, it's actually a negative. He's probably changed his mind 2 or 3 times because he actually carries the ball for a good 30 or 40 yards before he actually takes the shot. And he's tried to chip it. And listen, if we end up losing or drawing that game, that becomes a bigger talking point than it is, because at this point, we don't care. We got the 3 points.
Yeah, that's it.
And the penalty shout. I'd love to get your thoughts on that. Again, if that was against me, I like to think I'm quite impartial, and I'd think, do you know what? His arm's out. He's turned his back on the ball. Take one to the face, take one to the chest. If you get hit in the gonads, you take it. But he's turned his back, and he's not 3 or 4 yards away. I think that's a good point to keep in mind. He is a good, from memory, I think he's a good 6, 7, 8 yards away. So, and I just think you can't gain an advantage if you turn your back on the ball, so...
I'll be honest. I watched it 4 or 5 times because they continuously showed it, and I have to say, if a penalty had been given, now I've looked at it and I've thought about it. If a penalty had been given against us, I'd be slightly pissed off, slightly miffed. But then on the flip side, if that's not given against West Ham or for West Ham in another game, again, I'm going to be just as equally pissed off and miffed. He does turn, and let's be honest, that is not a natural position for an arm when when you kind of that's not a natural position. So that's that's what they're calling for these days, and as fans, we're calling for consistency now. For me. There's none there with that. His arm's not in a natural position. He's like you say, he's turned his back. Therefore, I think that might kind of.
I think that's helped
slightly. Yeah, because he's not. He's not seeing where the ball is, so he's got his turn. So, kind of works in his favour. Like I say, given against me yesterday, I probably would have been a bit miffed and pissed off. On the same side, on the flip side of that, if it had been not given at the other end, I'd again be. Annoyed, pissed off, whatever. So, what was your take on the goal, the breakaway, and obviously that? I mean, that was a huge turning point, and very well, I must say, very much deserved for you guys. Like I say, you dominated 90% of that game. There were, the first 5 or 10 minutes, I thought we were kind of not necessarily in control, but we were there doing what we did, and then whatever. Lars changed or anything else, something clicked, and you just then ended up running away with it. But obviously, the goal was, and it was for me. When I first saw it, I thought, "Wow, that's a proper breakaway goal. That's what we do to other teams at times." Yeah. It was a real good. But then I watched the finish, and there's a bobble in there. It's not a 100% clean contact, and it just kind of spins itself away from Fabianski into the corner. But again, it was a huge moment in the game.
It really was. I think a lot of fans know, maybe West Ham fans know more than, of course, neutral fans for obvious reasons. One problem with West Ham defensively is down those flanks, whether it's the left or the right. If teams are playing in front of you and you've got maybe Ben Rama dropping in closer to Souček and Rice. You've got Ogbonna who can step out of the defence. He reads the game very well. Yeah. If teams are playing in front of you, anywhere in line with the centre circle, just in front of you there, you can deal with that all day. It's when teams are attacking the flanks. Of course, you got that great win against Liverpool, but we saw Salah, Trent, that teams do tend to get a bit of success down your flanks. I'm sure Bruno would have known that. The build up to the goal, there was a good interchange between Semedo and Moutinho. Of course, it goes out to Podence. Podence plays his ball in across the edge of the box with some pace. I think he expects Jimenez to take a touch, and I think a lot of other players in our team would have done that. Certainly a Fabio Silva, who hasn't got the confidence yet, he's still very young, and Adama, someone like that, they would have taken a touch. We know how good Raul Jimenez is. I think most teams in the league would take him. I think City would take him, really. They're crying out for a striker. I think he gets 20 goals in that City team. He's so good. The best Wolves player I've seen in my lifetime by a country mile. And when I did the watch along live for yesterday's game, if you go back and watch it, when he actually takes it first time, I'm like, oh God! But literally half a second later, I'm like, brilliant, great choice, Raul. That's why you're playing, and that's why I'm sitting here. It's a good breakaway goal. There weren't many passes in the lead up to the goal. That's what we like to see as Wolves fans. There was only about 6 passes leading up to the goal.
Very quick, wasn't it?
Transitions, bang, into Moutinho, into Semedo, back to Moutinho, out to Podence, across the goal, and in the corner. Fabianski was unlucky, who I think was your man of the match by a long way yesterday.
Yeah, listen, if I'm honest, he's a player, Jimenez is a player that I rate very highly. Him and Ruben Neves, I think they're outstanding talents. But obviously when Jimenez, he got that injury, I was very worried, I'll be honest, just as a neutral football fan, who enjoys watching the games. I was very worried that he wouldn't make a comeback. It was very concerning. It was the clash. It was horrible to see. And then to see him now to start to come back. And if I'm honest, if anyone was going to score the winner against us, I'm happy it was him, if you know what I mean, because he deserves it. There he is. He's got his little button pressing in the back. But it's great to see him back. As a football fan in general, it really is good to see him make the comeback and to hit the ground running. To be honest with you, he's playing some great stuff. He's really. It's like, watching him a bit like when Petr Cech first came back from his injury. People were very fearful of him coming out at feet and going in with the strikers coming through. And I think that's still there with Jimenez. If you see him going up, I think it was an occasion yesterday he went up for a header, and even I went, no, please don't. Like it's as a football fan, you don't want to see that happen again, do you? You know what I mean? So, Gacy, what have I got? Wow, you've already covered ours. You already mentioned Flappy Hansky. Who was your? Who do you think was your man of the match?
I think it's between. Although Raul got the winner, I think it's very easy to give it him. I think you have to discredit him for that one-on-one miss because, again, we could have lost that game or even drew it. For me, it's between Neves and Podence, and I would just give it Podence. Fabianski had made 2 good saves on Podence. One with his effort just outside the box, which he puts just wide of the post. A good save from Fabianski. And then I think it was the resulting corner. The ball comes in from Ait-Nouri and it bobbles around in the box. It comes out to Podence and the ball's almost slightly behind him. He almost chips it, but with power. And Fabianski, it's going in the top corner. Fabianski gets a hand on it and tips it over the bar. I think for you, Fabianski, for us, I would go with Podence. I really would. Yeah,
I'm in agreement there. And you say that one... He's, if I remember right, he was on the right-hand side of the box. It's going top bins on the left, and out of nowhere that big paw comes up and just gets enough on it. And it, like you say, even prior to the corner when he gets down low and pushes it round that post again, 2 in quick succession, 2 really good saves. And again, I think, like you say, Podence for me. Again, the amount of space he was finding himself in. It was kind of it was a given. You know what I mean? We were like, oh, go on, off you go do. You can have it out there. And we got punished. We got punished. He got the ball back into the box and for Jimenez and obviously the two very good saves that he pulled out of Fab. I think I'm in agreement with you. Like you say, Raul got the official man of the match, but I think Podence for me was. I think he delivered more for you guys on the day. I really do. Gacy, what you got for me in the background there? Listen, right? You've got to be confident there, haven't you? Norwich, even away from home.
As Wolves fans, we've been joking about this, honestly, all season. Norwich have been losing and losing and losing. A draw here, a draw there. We've said we will lose to Norwich even before even before the win against Southampton yesterday. The season that Huddersfield went down, and I think they got 20-something points, really bad, finished bottom. They did the double over us. And this is the season we finished 7th. We finished 7th that season, and Huddersfield, I don't know what it is. That's that same season that Huddersfield did the double over us. We did the double over Manchester City. That's what being a Wolves fan is. So Dean Smith will beat us. We did a video on our channel last week. I don't rate Dean Smith. I don't see how a manager can spend 300 million and rely on Jack Grealish and still not perform. I don't rate Dean Smith, but I guarantee when they beat us next week, all the Norwich fans are going to come back, and I'm going to have to eat my words. It's the second win of the season for them. Gilmore played yesterday. He played very well for Norwich. They've got Hanley who scored again. I think he scored in their previous game as well before the international break. I think he's got 2 and 2 now. And actually, the game before the international break, he got a goal and an assist. So 2 goals and an assist in his last 2 games. They've got some decent players, Norwich. Pookie scored yesterday. But if we've got Burnley after Norwich, if we don't get 6 points, what's the point in us beating West Ham? That's the life of a Wolves fan.
You see, you know what, you say that there. We felt the same yesterday, and I have to say, I watched your video, and you yourself in the recon said that, I think you said 3-1, didn't you, to West Ham? If I remember rightly.
Oh, sorry, Scott did the recon video.
Scott, sorry. Yeah. And I look at that and I just think, what was the point in beating Liverpool? 2 weeks ago. It's one of those. I don't think the international break did us any favours. I think that was the frustrating thing for me, is that we're on a roll, we're absolutely flying, and then stop that there. And then we've got to try and pick it up again. Yeah, I mean, for you guys, you've come out, and I'd be confident enough for you guys to go and beat Norwich in your next game. I really would.
We should.
Again, you're talking like me and Rob when we talk about these teams that haven't won in X amount of games, or they're having the worst season possible, and we roll into town. A striker hasn't scored in 16 games, and here we are going, come along, have a hat-trick, please.
I think every fan feels like that about their club, don't they? Every fan feels it's always against them. We know Arsenal do as Spurs, but we should be beating Norwich at the end of the day. But you can never say never. It'll be so big for them to get another victory. And now they're off the bottom of the table. Newcastle are bottom, obviously drawing to Brentford. So they'll be buzzing right now.
Thoughts on the rest of the season from you then, just quickly. How do you think the rest of your season's going to go? Where you're going to finish? Your kind of hopes?
The fact that we've scored 12 goals this season in 12 games is dreadful. How we're sitting in 6, I'll never know. We lost our first three games of the season, although we did play Leicester, Man U and Spurs. Not the easiest running. Yeah. And then we won four out of our next 5. And the one that we didn't win was a draw against Leeds. It can only get better because we've got Johnny coming back from 2 ACL injuries. He did his ACL and then his other ACL in his other leg. So he's been out for 18 months. He's going to come back at left back. Pedro Neto, of course, who obviously everyone knows in the league, was our best player last season by a long way. So Podence would then move into the attacking mid role, and we'd have an attacking lineup of Hwang or Adama, Pedro Neto, Jimenez, Podence, Neves behind them, with a back four that Johnny is now available for, it can only get better. I expect United to come back fighting now because obviously they've lost Ollie officially. I think it was an hour ago, about half an hour before we started recording this.
Right, I've not seen that, so I need to go chase that one up. I've not seen that, so you just broke that news to me.
Breaking news here on Forge from Iron as always. So subscribe, like the video. It's breaking news here. So yeah, I mean, Manchester United could put Frank Lampard in or Kevin Keegan, and he'll do better than Ollie, obviously. So they're going to come back stronger. If we can get a top 7 finish and hopefully no one outside the top 7 wins the FA Cup and we get Europe, I'll take that.
Listen, I'll be honest. You know, when Wolves came up and you know, qualified for Europe in that first season, I certainly had a soft spot there for the sort of football you played. And then obviously, you know, you've gone out and you've got the one player that during August I sat in front of this screen screaming for. Literally, Gatesy will back me up. If you go back and watch the videos during August, I was crying out for Hwang. I think he's an outstanding player. I've got plenty of time for him. A bit upset he didn't come to us, I'll be honest with you, because I know we were linked several times with him and Patson Daka.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, and I was like, either one, please. I'm a big fan of the Bundesliga, both Austrian and the German Bundesliga. There's another guy out there at the moment, Karim Adeyemi, who I'm a huge fan of. And then when Leicester got Daka, and then, you know, Hwang came to you, I was just like, I give up now. I give up.
13 million. That's what we need to pay. We'll do that in January. That's what Bruno said. It was meant to be the end of the season, but after literally 3 games, I think he scored 3 goals in his first 4 games. Yeah. Bruno said, pay the 13 million, because there's been reports that Manchester City are looking at him and Liverpool. So, you know, we were meant to pay 13 million after a season and we wanted to pay it after 3 games. So
yeah, I think he's outstanding. He suffered a little bit, as me and Gates have covered in earlier videos, that, you know, he suffered with COVID, and now he looks, I mean, those first few games for you guys, he was outstanding, absolutely brilliant. And I'm pleased he's found a home where he's playing alongside some good players. He's going to get the opportunities to score the goals. He's going to score the goals. And I'm pleased for you guys that you've gone out and got him. Upset, obviously, it's not us. Upset that Patson Daka went to Leicester, but it is what it is. There's a lot of good players that are coming out of Austria and out of Germany at the minute. So there'll be more. There'll be a few more that I can. There's a young lad, Florian Wirtz. He's only 18. He's at the moment, I think they've slapped a £75 million transfer fee on him. He's scored something like 19 goals in 14 appearances so far this season. So he's absolutely flying. But again, he's another one that I'm currently watching in Germany. Listen, thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
Give yourself a little plug again. It's all on the bottom there. Look. Give yourself a little plug.
So we're not a Wolves channel, we are a general football channel, and we will be doing more content on West Ham. We do a Team of the Week segment that we do almost every week, and I must say, I can't remember a week where you didn't have a player in there. I think Ogbonna's featured 6 times this season already in Team of the Week. So
big loss for us.
We normally bring it out the day after the last game. So Tuesday, if there's a Monday night football, it'll be tomorrow, obviously, this week. And probably a bad week to promote it because, well, Fabianski might get in, actually. He had a very good game. Come tomorrow. It's always live, 6 o'clock UK time. So see if Fabianski gets in. And if he doesn't,
I'll tune in. No, I'll make sure I'll tune in. Again, guys, as Rob has decided to nicely put on the bottom there to remind me, because he knows what I'm like, don't forget to like the videos, comment and share on your Facebooks. Let's get people that haven't subscribed to come over and subscribe. Make sure you're caressing the bell. We're going to go for a caress of the bell this time round. We're going to caress the bell. Make sure you're notified when we stick any new content up, like this video here, Opposition Recon, Outcome, any videos that Rob decides he's going to record on a daily basis, sometimes without his camera on, because he's in his Ghostbusters pyjamas. I know I'm going to regret saying that, because Rob came. Rob came to my house the day after my birthday to wish me happy birthday, and my partner decided she was going to grass me up and tell him that I had a Ghostbusters onesie that I bought many moons ago.
Nothing wrong with that.
I did model it for him, so I have a feeling at some point it may make an appearance. He may even edit it in after this of me standing in my front room in my Ghostbusters onesie. Rob, please don't. We'll keep that one to the imagination.
What you'll have to do, we'll have to make a deal right now. If you get in the top 4 this season, actually no, Europe in general, I'll come on at the end of the season and you've got to wear that onesie. How about that?
Listen, I'm not sure if it actually got binned. If I think,
oh, here we go. Here we go.
No, because I'm actually, I'm hopefully going to be moving soon, and there's a lot of clothes that I've held on to, thinking I might fit into them again one day. Yeah, it's not happening. Let's not lie. So they've all gone in charity bags and gone down the charity shop, and I have a feeling the Ghostbusters onesie and my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles onesie that I've had for about 8 years, I think they've both gone. So I might have to buy a new one if we're going to do this. All right, if we're going to do this, I'll have to buy another one.
To get top 4, you've got to buy a onesie. Come on.
Done. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to wrap it up there. And guys, it may not feel like it after yesterday's defeat, but we still are massive. Thank you for coming on. Good luck to Wolves for the rest of the season. And everyone out there, we'll see you again soon. Cheers.